The stars looked different today. Commander Velthor of the Zephyrian fleet noticed this as he stared out from his command bridge. His long blue fingers moved across the control panel with practiced ease. Behind him, dozens of crew members worked. At their stations, the soft hum of the ship's engines filled the air. "Sir, we found something," called out Navigator Kixmar from across the bridge. His voice carried excitement and fear. Velthar turned around. His yellow eyes focused on the young navigator. "What did you find?" "A solar system, Commander. 9 planets. The third one has life." Velthor's mouth formed what humans might call a smile, though it looked more like a grimace. Another primitive world. How wonderful. The message to the Galactic Coalition. "Tell them we found easy prey." The message went out across space. Within hours, 12 massive warships appeared near the small solar system. Each ship was the size of a mountain. Their dark metal hulls gleamed in the starlight. Weapons covered every surface. These were ships built for war. On the third planet, it's called Earth by its inhabitants, Captain Kim Tai-ho was having a normal day. He sat in his small patrol ship near Mars, drinking coffee and reading reports. His ship was tiny compared to the alien vessels, but he did not know about them yet. "Captain," said Lieutenant Park Mina from her communication station, "we have something strange on the scanners." Tai-ho looked up from his papers. "Strange how?" "Large objects just appeared near Jupiter. They are not moving like asteroids." Tai-ho stood up and walked to the main screen. He was a tall man with kind eyes and gray hair. He had been a space patrol captain for 15 years. In all that time, he had never seen anything like this. "How large are they?" he asked. "Each one is about 5 kilometers long, sir." Tai-ho nodded slowly. "Well, that is certainly unusual. Try to contact them." Park Mina worked at her console for a few minutes. "I am getting a response, Captain. They're asking us to surrender." "Surrender?" Tai-ho looked confused. "Why would we surrender? We have not done anything wrong." "I do not know, sir. Should I tell them we surrender?" "No," Tai-ho said calmly. "Tell them they are in restricted space. Ask them to identify themselves and state their purpose." On the lead alien ship, Commander Velthor could not believe what he was hearing. "They want us to identify ourselves." "Do they not understand what surrender means?" "Perhaps they are too primitive to understand, sir," suggested his second-in-command. "Fire." "Warning shots," Velthor ordered. "That should make them understand." Bright beams of energy shot from the alien ships. They missed the human patrol vessel by several kilometers. The beams lit up the darkness of space like fireworks. On Tai-ho's ship, the crew watched the display with interest rather than fear. "Interesting," said Chief Engineer Li Juan. "Those energy readings look familiar. They remind me of my old plasma cutter back on Earth." "The energy output is quite impressive," added Dr. Han Suyang, the ship's science officer. "But the focusing mechanism seems inefficient. Could probably improve the design." Tai-ho listened to his crew's comments with growing confusion. "Are they trying to threaten us?" "It seems that way, sir," replied Park Mina. "But their aim is terrible. Maybe they need help," Tai-ho suggested. "Contact Earth Command. Tell them we have visitors who might be having technical difficulties." The message reached Earth Command within minutes. Admiral Chang Kuman, a serious man with 30 years of military experience, read the report twice. 12 ships, each 5 kilometers long, firing energy weapons near Mars, he said to his aide. "That does sound like they might need assistance." "Should we send help, sir?" asked the aide. "Yes, send the repair ship Harmony, Captain Bei Sujin. Is good with technical problems." Back near Mars, Captain Tai-ho tried to communicate with the alien fleet again. "Unknown vessels. This is Captain Kim Tai-ho of the Earth Defense Patrol. You appear to be having weapon malfunctions. Do you require assistance?" On the alien command ship, the bridge fell silent. Commander Velthor's yellow eyes widened in disbelief. "Did he just offer to help us?" "I think so, sir," replied the communications officer. "He thinks our weapons are malfunctioning."
"Oh?"
"It appears that way, sir." Velthor had conquered 47 worlds in his career. He had never met a species that responded to military intimidation by offering technical support. Perhaps they are more dangerous than they appear, whispered his tactical officer. Maybe this is psychological warfare. It's impossible, Velthor said, but his voice lacked confidence. They are primitives. Their ship is tiny. But sir, they show no fear. In my experience, only two types of beings act this way. The very stupid or the very dangerous. Velthor considered this. In the distance, the human patrol ship continued its normal operations. Its crew seemed more interested in studying the alien weapons than running away. Perhaps we should demonstrate our full power, suggested the tactical officer. Show them what real weapons can do. Yes, Velthor agreed. Charge all weapons. Full power display. The 12 alien ships began to glow with energy. Weapon systems hummed to life. The very space around them seemed to vibrate with power. It was a sight that had made countless worlds surrender without a fight. On the human ship, Dr. Han Su-yang was the first to notice the change. Captain, the energy readings from those ships just increased dramatically. Said Engineer Li Guan. Look at that power distribution. It's quite remarkable. Are you getting this recorded? Asked Dr. Han. The physics department back on Earth would love to study this. Captain Taiho watched his crew's reactions with growing bewilderment. They were treating the alien display like a science experiment. Should we be concerned? He asked. About what, sir? Replied Park Mina. Well, they are pointing very large weapons at us. True, agreed Li Guan. Look at the energy and efficiency. They are wasting at least 30% of their power output. We could help them fix that. Taiho rubbed his forehead. He was beginning to think that either his crew was crazy or the aliens were having some kind of cultural misunderstanding. Try contacting them again, he said. Ask if they need technical assistance. The message reached the alien fleet just as they completed their power display. Commander Velthor stared at the communications screen in stunned silence. Sir, prompted his communications officer. They're asking if we need technical assistance, Velthor said slowly. Again, what should we tell them, sir? Velthor looked out at the tiny human ship floating calmly in space, despite being targeted by enough firepower to destroy a moon. The humans inside were apparently more concerned about helping him fix his weapons than saving their own lives. 4. The first time in his military career, Commander Velthor had no idea what to do next. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had a very different definition of normal. Commander Velthor stood in his command center, feeling more confused than he had ever felt in his life. His yellow eyes stared at the human ship on the main screen. The tiny vessel continued to float peacefully in space, completely ignoring the massive weapons pointed at it. Sir, said his tactical officer, a nervous creature named Zixovel. The humans are not responding as expected. I can see that, Velthor replied through clenched teeth. What do our experts say about this species? We have no data on them, sir. They are completely unknown to the Galactic Coalition. Felt a cold chill run down his spine. In his 40 years of military service, he had never encountered a species that the Coalition knew nothing about. Unknown species were dangerous. They had no predictable behavior patterns. Perhaps they are testing us, he said slowly, trying to see how we react to their strange behavior. On the human patrol ship, Lieutenant Commander Choi Hijin was having the time of her life. She was the ship's tactical analyst, and she had never seen anything so fascinating. Captain, she called out to Taiho, you need to see this formation? Pattern Taiho walked over to her station. What about it? Look at how they are arranged, Hijin said, pointing at her screen. It is very similar to the ancient Roman testudo formation, but modified for three-dimensional space. That is interesting, Taiho agreed. But why would they use such an old formation? Maybe they studied our history, suggested Sergeant Yoon Dong-woo from his station. But they made some improvements. See how the ships can cover each other from all angles? Hijin nodded excitedly. Yes. And the power distribution between ships suggests they can share shield strength. It is quite clever. Are you taking notes? Asked Dr. Han Su-yang. Of course, Hijin replied. This could be useful for our own fleet formations. On the alien command ship, the crew watched in growing alarm as the humans continued to study. Their sensors showed that the human ship was conducting detailed scans of their formation, weapons, and shield systems. "Sir," reported the sensor officer, "they are analyzing our entire battle formation." "What?" Velthar spun around. "Why would they do that?" "Unknown, sir. But they are being very thorough." Velthar felt his confidence slipping away. "Are they planning an attack?" "I do not know, sir, but they seem very interested in our tactical arrangements." The truth was much simpler. Choi Hai-jin was genuinely curious about the alien formation because she loved studying military tactics. She had no idea that her innocent interest was being interpreted as hostile intelligence gathering. "This is fascinating," she said to her colleague. "They have 12 ships, but they are working like one big ship. The coordination must be incredible." "Do you think they communicate so quickly?" asked Yoon Dong-woo. "Maybe quantum entanglement?" suggested Dr. Han. "Or some kind of shared consciousness." "We should ask them," Hai-jin said. "I would love to know how they solve the communication delay problem." Meanwhile, Commander Velthar was growing more desperate. Nothing in his training had prepared him for this situation. The humans were supposed to be afraid. They were supposed to surrender. Instead, they were studying his fleet like it was a museum exhibit. "We need to show them our true power," he declared. "All ships, prepare for full weapons display." "Sir?" His tactical officer looked worried. "Are you sure? It might start a war?" "They're already at war," Velthar said grimly. "They are just fighting it differently than we expected." The order went out to all 12 ships. Weapons systems that had been dormant for years came online. Energy conduits glowed with power. The very space around the fleet began to shimmer with barely contained energy. On the human ship, the crew watched with growing excitement. "Look at that," exclaimed Engineer Lee Guan. "The energy output must be in the petawatt range." "Are you seeing this power distribution pattern?" Dr. Han asked, her voice filled with wonder. "It is like a symphony of energy flows. The harmonics are beautiful," added Park Mina. "Listen to how the frequencies mesh together." Captain Taiho listened to his crew's comments with growing bewilderment. They were treating what looked like a massive threat display as an educational opportunity. "Should we be concerned?" he asked again. "About what, sir?" replied Hai-jin, not taking her eyes off her scanner readings. "Well, they seem to be charging their weapons." "Yes, but look at the targeting systems," Hai-jin said. "They are not actually aiming at us. This appears to be some kind of demonstration." "Maybe it is a greeting ceremony," suggested Yoon Dong-woo. "Some species have very elaborate first contact rituals." "That makes sense," agreed Dr. Han. "Different cultures express themselves in different ways." Taiho rubbed his temples. "So you think they are being friendly?" "In their own way, yes," Hai-jin said confidently. "Though I have to say, their energy efficiency could use some work." "Should we respond somehow?" Taiho asked. "We could show them our own systems," Lee Ji-won suggested. "As a sign of mutual respect?" "Good idea," Taiho said. "But keep it simple. We do not want to overwhelm them." The human ship's modest defense systems came online. Compared to the alien display, it was like comparing a candle to a star. But the humans treated it as a proportional response. On the alien command ship, the crew watched in stunned silence as the human vessel activated what appeared to be the smallest, most insignificant weapons they had ever seen. "Sir," whispered the tactical officer, "are they mocking us?" "I do not know," Velthor replied, his voice barely audible. "Maybe they are showing us what they consider appropriate force," suggested the communications officer. "Like they are saying our display is excessive." "Or maybe," said the sensor officer quietly, "they are so confident in their abilities that they only need small weapons to defeat us." This thought sent a chill through the entire bridge. Species that responded to overwhelming force with tiny weapons was either completely insane or incredibly dangerous. "Sir," the communications officer said suddenly, "we are receiving a transmission from the human ship." "Put it through, Velthor," ordered Captain Taiho's voice came through the speakers, calm and friendly. "Unknown vessels, this is Captain Kim Taiho again. Thank you for the impressive display of your technology. We hope our small demonstration was acceptable. We're very interested in learning more about your energy systems. Perhaps we could arrange a technical exchange?" The alien bridge fell completely silent. Commander Velthor stared at the communication panel as if it had personally insulted him. "They want a technical exchange?" he said slowly. "Yes, sir," replied the communications officer. "They saw our full weapons display and want to trade technology." "Appear so, sir?" Velthor sank into his command chair. In his entire career, he had never encountered a species that responded to military intimidation with requests for scientific collaboration. "Sir," his tactical officer said carefully, "what should we tell them?" Velthor looked out at the small human ship, floating peacefully in space. Its crew was apparently more interested in making friends than acknowledging the overwhelming firepower. Pointed at them. "I have no idea," he admitted. For the first time in Galactic Coalition history, a military commander was completely stumped by an enemy, who refused to act like an enemy. The misunderstanding was growing deeper with every passing moment. Commander Velthor stood in his command center, feeling more confused than he had ever felt in his life. His yellow eyes stared at the human ship on the main screen. The tiny vessel continued to float peacefully in space, completely ignoring the massive weapons pointed at it. "Sir," said his tactical officer, a nervous creature named Zixavel, "the humans are not responding as expected." "I can see that," Velthor replied through clenched teeth. "What do our experts say about this species? We have no data on them, sir." "They are completely unknown to the Galactic Coalition." Felt a cold chill run down his spine. In his 40 years of military service, he had never encountered a species that the Coalition knew nothing about. Unknown species were dangerous. They had no predictable behavior patterns. "Perhaps they are testing us," he said slowly, "trying to see how we react to their strange behavior." On the human patrol ship, Lieutenant Commander Choi Hee-jin was having the time of her life. She was the ship's tactical analyst, and she had never seen anything so fascinating. "Captain," she called out to Taiho, "you need to see this formation." Pattern Taiho walked over to her station. "What about it?"
Art.
"Look at how they are arranged," Hee-jin said, pointing at her screen. "It is very similar to the ancient Roman testudo formation, but modified for three-dimensional space." "That is interesting," Taiho agreed. "But why would they use such an old formation?" "Maybe they studied our history," suggested Sergeant Yoon Dongwoo from his station. "But they made some improvements. See how the ships can cover each other from all angles?" Hee-jin nodded excitedly. "And the power distribution between ships suggests they can share shield strength. It is quite clever." "Are you taking notes?" asked Dr. Han Soo-yang. "Of course," Hee-jin replied. "This could be useful for our own fleet formations." On the alien command ship, the crew watched in growing alarm as the humans continued to study them. Their sensors showed that the human ship was conducting detailed scans of their formation, weapons, and shield systems, reported the sensor officer. "They are analyzing our entire battle formation." "What?" Velthor spun around. "Would they do that? Unknown, sir. But they are being very thorough." Velthor felt his confidence slipping away. "Are they planning an attack?" "I do not know, sir, but they seem very interested in our tactical arrangements." The truth was much simpler. Choi Hee-jin was genuinely curious about the alien formation because she loved studying military tactics. She had no idea that her innocent interest was being interpreted as hostile intelligence gathering. "This is fascinating," she said to her colleague. "They have 12 ships, but they are working like one big ship. The coordination must be incredible." "Do you think they communicate so quickly?" asked Yoon Dongwoo. "Maybe quantum entanglement?" suggested Dr. Han. "Or some kind of shared consciousness." "We should ask them," Hee-jin said. "Would love to know how they solve the communication delay problem." Meanwhile, Commander Velthor was growing more desperate. Nothing in his training had prepared him for this situation. The humans were supposed to be afraid. They were supposed to surrender. Instead, they were studying his fleet like it was a museum exhibit. "We need to show them our true power," he declared. "All ships, prepare for full weapons display." "Sir," his tactical officer looked worried. "Are you sure? I might start a war?" "We are already at war," Velthor said grimly. "They are just fighting it differently than we expected." The order went out to all 12 ships. Weapons, systems. that had been dormant for years came online. Energy conduits glowed with power. The very space around the fleet began to shimmer with barely contained energy. On the human ship, the crew watched with growing excitement. "Look at that," exclaimed Engineer Li Guan. "The energy output must be in the petawatt range." "Are you seeing this power distribution pattern?" Dr. Han asked, her voice filled with wonder. "It is like a symphony of energy flows." "The harmonics are beautiful," added Park Mina. "Listen to how the frequencies mesh together," Captain Taiho listened to his crew's comments with growing bewilderment. They were treating what looked like a massive threat display as an educational opportunity. "Should we be concerned?" he asked again. "About what, sir?" replied Haijin, not taking her eyes off her scanner readings. "Well, they seem to be charging their weapons." "Yes, but look at the targeting systems," Haijin said. "They are not actually aiming at us. This appears to be some kind of demonstration." "Maybe it is a greeting ceremony," suggested Yun Dongwu. "Some species have very elaborate first contact rituals." "That makes sense," agreed Dr. Han. "Different cultures express themselves in different ways." Taiho rubbed his temples. "You think they are being friendly, in their own way?" "Yes," Haijin said confidently. "Though I have to say, their energy efficiency could use some work." "Should we respond somehow?" Taiho asked. "We could show them our own systems," Li Guan suggested. "It's a sign of mutual respect." "Good idea," Taiho said. "Keep it simple. We do not want to overwhelm them." Human ship's modest defense systems came online. Compared to the alien display, it was like comparing a candle to a star. But the humans treated it as a proportional response. On the alien command ship, the crew watched in stunned silence as the human vessel activated what appeared to be the smallest, most insignificant weapons they had ever seen. "Sir," whispered the tactical officer, "are they mocking us?" "I do not know," Velthar replied, his voice barely audible. "Maybe they are showing us what they consider appropriate force," suggested the communications officer, "like they are saying our display is excessive." "Or maybe," said the sensor officer quietly, "they are so confident in their abilities that they only need small weapons to defeat us." This thought sent a chill through the entire bridge. Species that responded to overwhelming force with tiny weapons was either completely insane or incredibly dangerous. "Sir," the communications officer said suddenly, "we are receiving a transmission." "From the human ship, put it through," Velthar ordered. Captain Taiho's voice came through the speakers, calm and friendly. "Unknown vessels, this is Captain Kim Taiho again. Thank you for the impressive display of your technology. We hope our small demonstration was acceptable. We are very interested in learning more about your energy systems. Perhaps we could arrange a technical exchange?" The alien bridge fell completely silent. Commander Velthar stared at the communication panel as if it had personally insulted him. "They want a technical exchange," he said slowly. "Yes, sir," replied the communications officer. "They saw our full weapons display and want to trade technology." "Appears so, sir." Velthor sank into his command chair. In his entire career, he had never encountered a species that responded to military intimidation with requests for scientific collaboration. "Sir," his tactical officer said carefully, "what should we tell them?" Velthar looked out at the small human ship, floating peacefully in space. Its crew was apparently more interested in making friends than acknowledging the overwhelming firepower. "Pointed at them." "I have no idea," he admitted. For the first time in Galactic Coalition history, a military commander was completely stumped by an enemy, who refused to act like an enemy. The misunderstanding was growing deeper with every passing moment. How humanity dominates the battlefield without even trying. Part 4. The Accidental Demonstration Commander. Velthor had reached his breaking point. For 5 days, his massive fleet had been offering technical advice by 3 small human ships. Crew was becoming nervous. Some were even starting to question whether they were really the superior force. "Sir," said his tactical officer, Zixavel, "we must do something. The crew is losing confidence." "What do you suggest?" Velthor asked. Tiredly, "We need to show them that we are serious. Attack something. Prove our power." Velthar considered this. Perhaps Zixavel was right. Hush. Maybe the humans would finally understand the situation if they saw real destruction. Find me a target, he ordered. Something human, but not too important. We want to send a message, not start a war, sir, the sensor officer called out. There is a small human facility near Jupiter. It appears to be lightly defended. Velthar looked at the tactical display. The facility was perfect. Small, isolated, and apparently helpless. The humans would see its destruction and finally understand that surrender was their only option. Prepare the attack fleet, he commanded. 6 ships should be enough. The human facility was called Research Station Titan 7. It was managed by Director Lim Young-ho, a calm man who had spent his career studying asteroid mining techniques. The station was not really a research facility. It was a prototype mining operation designed to extract valuable metals from asteroids. Director called out his assistant, Kim Sulji. We have 6 large ships approaching our position. Lim Young-ho looked up from his morning reports. Are they the same ships that have been talking to Captain Taiho? Yes, sir. But these ones are moving toward us. Interesting, Lim said. Maybe they want to see our mining operation. Research Coordinator Park Wuzhen walked over to the main screen. Should we prepare a presentation? We have some excellent videos of the new plasma extraction system. Good idea, agreed Lim. Let them know they are welcome to observe. The message was sent to the approaching alien ships. Commander Zixavel, leading the attack force, read it with growing confusion. They are inviting us to watch their mining operation. He asked his communications officer. Yes, sir. They seem quite excited about showing us their equipment. Do they not understand that we are here to attack them? Apparently not, sir. Zixavel felt a familiar headache coming on. These humans were even stranger than Commander Velthor had described. Begin the attack, he ordered. Target their main power systems. The alien weapons fired bright beams of energy at the mining station. The beams struck the outer hull and were absorbed by the station's shields. Inside the station, the crew barely noticed. Was that something? Asked Technician Song Minji. It's just some energy discharge, replied Park Wujin. Probably from their ships. We get that sometimes when large vessels pass by. Should we check the shields? Asked Kim Sulji. Might as well, agreed Director Lim. We do not want any accidents. What the aliens did not know was that Research Station Titan 7 was built to survive asteroid impacts. Its shields were designed to handle rocks traveling at thousands of kilometers per hour. The alien weapons were powerful, but they were nothing compared to a high-speed asteroid. Sir, reported the weapons officer on Zixavel's ship, our weapons had no effect. What do you mean, no effect? Their shields absorbed everything, sir. They did not even fluctuate. Zixavel stared at his tactical display. His weapons could destroy a city, but they had done nothing to the human station. Increase power, he ordered. All ships, full weapons. The attack intensified. 6 warships poured their full firepower into the mining station. Energy beams that could melt mountains struck the facility repeatedly. Inside the station, Director Lim was getting slightly annoyed. The energy readings are interfering with our equipment, he said to his chief engineer, Chen Taiyong. Can you do something about it? Sure, Chen replied. I will turn on the mining laser. It should clear up the interference. The mining laser was designed to cut through solid rock. It was powerful enough to slice an asteroid in half. It activated, it sent a focused beam of energy toward the alien ships. On Zixavel's command ship, alarms began screaming. Sir, shouted the tactical officer. Incoming weapon fire. From where? The mining station, sir. The beam struck Zixavel's ship directly. The alien shields, designed to stop conventional weapons, were completely useless against industrial mining equipment. The beam cut through the ship's hull like it was made of paper. Shields down, reported the tactical officer. Hull breach on decks 4 through 7. Return fire. Zixavel ordered. But before his weapons could respond, the mining stations. Gravity manipulator came online. This device was used to move large asteroids into position for cutting. It created powerful gravitational fields that could push objects weighing millions of tons. The gravity wave hit the alien attack fleet like an invisible hand. 3 ships were pushed away from the station so fast that their crews were knocked unconscious. 2 more ships collided with each other as they tumbled through space. On the mining station, Technician Song Minji was operating the gravity manipulator with practiced ease. "Sorry about that," she broadcast to the alien ships. "The gravity field sometimes affects nearby objects. I hope no one was hurt." Engineer Chen Tiong was already recalibrating the mining laser. "I will need to adjust this later," he muttered. "The focusing crystal is slightly off now." Director Lim watched the alien ship spinning away from his station and felt concerned. "Are they having mechanical problems?" he asked Park Woo-jin. "It looks that way, sir. Maybe we should offer to help." "With repairs?" "Good thinking," Lim agreed. "Send them our emergency repair manual." The message reached what remained of Zixavala's attack fleet. The commander was floating upside down in his damaged bridge, watching his tactical display show complete disaster. "Sir," his communications officer said weakly, "the humans are offering to help repair our ships. They sent us repair manuals, sir, and an apology for the inconvenience." Zixaval closed his eyes. He had brought 6 warships to attack a mining station. The mining station had accidentally destroyed his fleet while doing routine maintenance. And now the humans were apologizing and offering to help fix the damage. "Sir," the tactical officer said carefully, "what should we tell Commander Velthar?" Zixaval thought about this. How could he explain that a civilian mining operation had defeated 6 military warships without even trying? How could he report that the humans had won a battle while apologizing for the inconvenience? "Tell him," Zixaval said slowly, "that the humans are more dangerous than we thought." "Should we retreat, sir?" "We cannot retreat," Zixaval replied. 2 of our ships cannot move, and the others are too damaged to fight." "Then what do we do?" Zixaval looked at his communications console. The humans were still broadcasting repair instructions and offering assistance. "We accept their help," he said quietly. On the mining station, Director Lim was organizing a rescue operation. His maintenance crew began moving toward the damaged alien ships with repair equipment and medical supplies. "Be careful," he told his team. "They might have different atmospheric requirements." "We brought emergency life support gear," replied Kim Sulji and universal translators. "Excellent," Lim said. "Let them know we are coming to help." The message was broadcast to the alien fleet. Damaged vessels. "This is Research Station Titan 7. We are sending repair teams to assist you. Please do not be alarmed. We are here to help." When Commander Velthar received the report of the battle, he sat in stunned silence for 10 minutes. "They defeated 6 warships," he said finally. "Yes, sir," replied his communications officer. "Mining equipment." "Yes, sir." "Now they are helping repair the ships they destroyed." "Yes, sir." Velthor looked out at the small human patrol ship that had started this whole mess. Captain Tai-ho was probably having lunch and reading technical manuals. He was completely unaware that his people had just won their first military victory against the Galactic Coalition. "Send a message to High Command," Velthor ordered. "What should it say, sir?" Velthor thought carefully. How could he explain that humanity was the most terrifying species he had ever encountered? Not because they were violent, but because they treated warfare like a maintenance problem. "Tell them," he said slowly, "that we need to reconsider our approach to first contact with humans." "Sir, tell them that humanity fights wars the way they fix broken equipment, efficiently, apologetically, and with an offer to help clean up the mess afterward." The galaxy was about to learn a new definition of military superiority. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within 3 days, every major species had heard about the human victory at Research Station Titan 7. The story grew with each telling. It's becoming more terrifying and confusing with every version. In the crystal towers of the Krathri Empire, intelligence officer Zekmora was writing her report. She was a tall, silver-skinned creature with 4 arms and eyes that could see in 17 different spectrums of light. "The humans have revealed their true nature," she wrote. "They are master strategists who have perfected the art of psychological warfare." Her assistant, a younger Krathri named Yiktel, looked confused. "But the reports say they were just doing maintenance work." "Exactly," Zekmora replied. "They convinced their enemies that they were harmless civilians right up until the moment they destroyed 6 warships. So it was all an act? Obviously. No species could be that calm during a military encounter unless they were completely confident in their abilities. Zekmora continued typing her report. The humans use a technique we have never seen before. They appear helpless and friendly, making their enemies drop their guard. Then they strike with devastating efficiency. What should we recommend? Asked. Yictel, extreme caution, Zekmora replied. A species that can convincingly pretend to be peaceful while planning attacks is incredibly dangerous. On the other side of the galaxy, the Ethereal Collective was having a very different discussion. They were energy beings who lived in vast crystal matrices and communicated through thought alone. Scholar Tissandra was analyzing the human data with her research team. Her thoughts flowed like music through the crystal network. These humans are not what they appear to be, she concluded. They are an ancient warrior race that has grown bored with conventional warfare. What evidence supports this theory? Asked. Her colleague Vorthiandra. Look at their behavior, Tissandra explained. They treat devastating weapons like simple tools. They show no excitement about combat. They apologize for winning battles. Why would they do that? Because warfare has become so routine for them that they find it mundane. Right. Like a master craftsman who can create art without thinking about it. The Ethereal Collective sent urgent warnings to all allied species. Humanity represents an existential threat. They have weaponized boredom. They fight wars with the casual indifference of beings who have already conquered everything worth conquering. Meanwhile, on Earth, the actual humans remained completely unaware of these interpretations. Captain Kim Taiho had been promoted to Admiral An was now in charge of what Earth Command called the First Contact Coordination Office. Admiral said his new aide, Commander Ru Hai-hoon, "We have received 17 requests for diplomatic meetings from various alien species." 17? Taiho looked surprised. That seems like a lot. Yes, sir. They all seem very eager to establish formal relations with humanity. Taiho nodded thoughtfully. Well, that is good news. It shows they are interested in peaceful cooperation.
Ice.
Taiho did not know was that each of those 17 species was desperate to avoid being humanity's next target. They all assumed that the mining station incident was a warning shot designed to demonstrate human military capabilities. Dr. Choi Sunwoo, now heading the newly created Xenobiology Department, was studying the alien psychological profiles with academic interest. It is fascinating, she told her research team. Many of these species seem to have very aggressive first contact protocols. Aggressive how? Asked her assistant, Dr. Park Kyungmin. They apparently begin all first meetings by pointing weapons at each other. It must be some kind of dominance. Ritual. That seems very stressful, Park observed. Indeed. But it explains why they were so impressed by our calm response. They probably thought we were showing superior confidence by not participating in their ritual. Dr. Choi continued her analysis. I think we should study this behavior more carefully. Understanding alien psychology could help us avoid future misunderstandings. She had no idea that she was creating what the galaxy would later call the Terran Psychological Warfare Manual. At the same time, Ambassador Lee Ji-yoon was organizing what she called the Technological Friendship Initiative. She believed that sharing scientific knowledge would help build trust between species. We should offer them our best technology, she told her diplomatic team. Nothing builds friendship like mutual cooperation. Are you sure that is wise? Asked her security advisor, Colonel Nam Jiak. Some of these technologies could be used for military purposes? All the better, Lee replied cheerfully. If we help them improve their defenses, they will feel more secure. Secure people are peaceful people. The ambassador began preparing what she called friendship packages, collections, of human technology that would be offered to any alien species that wanted them. The packages included advanced shield designs, weapon efficiency improvements, and tactical coordination systems. When news of the friendship packages reached the galaxy, panic spread through every military command center. They are offering to share their military technology, reported General Klaxver of the Hegemony Defense Force. With everyone? Why would they do that? Asked his tactical advisor. Only one reason makes sense, Klaxver replied grimly. They are so far ahead of us technologically that they consider our weapons to be toys. Or, suggested another officer, they want us to build up our forces so they can have more challenging fights. This interpretation was even more terrifying. Species that helped its enemies become stronger just to make wars more interesting was beyond any rational understanding. The fear reached its peak when the Galactic Senate held an emergency session. Representatives from 200 species gathered to discuss the human problem. "We must face the truth," declared Senator Vexmirin. "Of the Outer Rim Alliance, humanity has demonstrated capabilities that exceed our understanding. They defeated 6 warships with mining equipment," added Senator Thylex of the Core Worlds. "Then they helped repair the ships they destroyed. Their psychological warfare is unlike anything we have seen," reported Senator Quinder. "They make their enemies want to be friends, while simultaneously proving their superiority." The debate continued for hours. Some species wanted to surrender immediately. Others suggested forming an alliance against humanity. A few proposed hiding until the humans forgot about them. In the end, they reached a unanimous decision. Humanity would be classified as a Class Alpha threat, requiring the highest level of diplomatic caution. "We must treat them as the most dangerous species in the galaxy," declared the Senate leader. "Not because they are violent, but because they have weaponized peace itself." The irony was complete. Humanity had become the galaxy's most feared species, not through conquest or aggression, but through their natural tendency to be helpful and curious. Back on Earth, Admiral Taiho was reading the latest diplomatic reports. "It says here that every species wants to be our friend," he told Commander Rue. "That is wonderful news, sir." "Yes, but some of these messages seem very formal, almost nervous." "Maybe they are just being polite, sir." Taiho nodded. "You are probably right. Different cultures have different ways of expressing friendship." He had no idea that his casual acceptance of galactic submission was being interpreted as the confident acknowledgement of a supreme predator. The galaxy had created its own nightmare by misunderstanding humanity's greatest strength, their complete inability to act like the monsters everyone expected them to be. 6 months had passed since first contact, and the galaxy looked completely different. What the aliens now called the Terran hegemony stretched across known space, though the humans themselves were still confused about why everyone insisted on calling it that. Admiral Kim Taiho stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Harmony. It was not actually a warship, despite what the galaxy believed. It was an upgraded asteroid mining vessel that had been converted for diplomatic missions. But to alien eyes, it looked like the most terrifying weapon ever built, Admiral said. His communications officer, Lieutenant Parkmina, "We have received surrender documents from the Vorthon Republic." "Surrender documents?" Taiho looked confused. "But we have never even met the Vorthon Republic. I say, they do not want to experience what happened to the Zephyrian fleet, sir." Taiho rubbed his forehead. This was happening more and more often. Species he had never heard of were sending surrender messages, offering tribute, and begging to join what they called the Human Alliance. "What should I tell them?" asked Parkmina. "The same thing we tell everyone," Taiho replied. "We are happy to be friends, but they do not need to surrender anything." "Yes, sir." Unknown to Taiho, his message would be interpreted as the magnanimous gesture of a conquering emperor. The Vorthon Republic would spend the next decade trying to figure out what tribute the humans actually wanted. Meanwhile, the old Galactic Coalition had reformed itself into something called the Galactic Cooperation Initiative. The name change was meant to sound less threatening to humanity. Every major decision now required human approval, though the humans themselves had never asked for this authority. Ambassador Li Jiyun was attending her weekly meeting with the Galactic Council. She still thought of it as a friendly discussion. Group where different species could share ideas and solve problems together. "Ambassador," said Council Leader Vexamirin, bowing deeply. "We seek your wisdom on the matter of the rebel territories." "Rebel territories?" Li looked puzzled. "I am not familiar with that term." "The systems that refuse to acknowledge human supremacy, Your Excellence." Li frowned. "I think there has been a misunderstanding. We do not seek supremacy over anyone. We just want to be good neighbors." The council members exchanged glances. They interpreted this as humanity's way of saying that resistance was futile. Of course, Your Excellence, Vexmirin agreed quickly. Should we send educational fleets to help them understand neighborliness? Educational fleets? Ships that could explain the benefits of cooperation. Lee thought this sounded like a nice idea. That would be wonderful. Maybe we could send some of our technical manuals as well. The council members nearly fainted. Technical manuals were what humans called their military specifications. The ambassador was suggesting they share weapons technology with rebels too. Demonstrate human confidence. Your wisdom is infinite, Vexmirin whispered. Back on Earth. The government was struggling to understand why they had suddenly become so popular. President Kim Soo-hoon was meeting with his advisors about the latest diplomatic requests. We have received formal alliance requests from 47 different species this month, reported Foreign Minister Oh Jung-soo. They all want military protection. Agreements. Protection from what? Asked the president. They do not say, sir. They just offer to provide resources in exchange for our protection. That seems unnecessary, President Kim replied. We are not planning to attack anyone. Should I tell them that, sir? Of course. Make it clear that we have no hostile intentions toward anyone. This message, when translated through diplomatic channels, would be understood as, we are so powerful that we do not need to make threats. Everyone should submit voluntarily. Meanwhile, Chief Engineer Park Min-soo was working on humanity's latest friendship project. The aliens called it the Terror Station, but to Park it was just a large space construction platform. How is the station coming along? Asked his assistant engineer Song Jie. Very well, Park replied, using a plasma cutter to shape a metal beam. The new design should make space construction much easier. What Park did not know was that his construction platform was being watched by every intelligence agency in the galaxy. The massive structure, equipped with industrial tools that could reshape asteroids, looked like a mobile fortress capable of destroying entire worlds. Sir, Song said carefully. The alien observers seem very nervous about our project. Nervous. Why? I think they are worried about safety. Some of these tools are quite powerful. That is thoughtful of them, Park agreed. Send them the complete safety manual. Do not want anyone to get hurt. It's a safety manual, which detailed exactly how powerful the station's equipment was. Would be studied by alien military analysts as the most terrifying document ever written. The other side of the galaxy, former Commander Velthor was now working as a liaison officer for the Zephyrian government. His job was to interpret human behavior and predict their intentions. It was the most stressful job in the galaxy. Sir, his assistant asked, the humans have sent another message about their construction project. They want to know if we would like to visit and see how it works. Velthar felt his blood turn cold. They want us to inspect their ultimate weapon? It appears so, sir. They call it a guided tour. This is psychological warfare of the highest level, Velthar muttered. They want us to see exactly how hopeless resistance would be. Should we accept? We have no choice. Refusing would be interpreted as hostility. Velthar began preparing for what he was certain would be the most terrifying experience of his life. He had no idea that Park Min-soo was planning to serve coffee and cookies while explaining how the plasma cutters worked. The transformation of galactic civilization was now complete. Every major trade route was protected by human ships that the crews thought were doing routine maintenance patrols. Every important space station had human technical advisors, who were actually engineers trying to improve safety systems. The galaxy had achieved perfect peace through perfect misunderstanding. Dr. Choi Sunwoo was writing her final report on alien psychology. It appears that most galactic species have highly ritualized dominance behaviors, she concluded. They seem to expect aggression and respond positively to displays of superior technology. What do you recommend? Asked her research assistant. We should continue being friendly and helpful. It seems to make them feel secure, even though they sometimes act strangely. Cultural differences are normal, Dr. Choi replied. The important thing is that everyone is getting along now. The final scene of humanity's accidental conquest took place in a small cafe on Earth Station Alpha. Admiral Taiho was having lunch with Ambassador Lee and Engineer Park, discussing their latest projects. The aliens have been very cooperative. Lately, Lee observed. Yes, agreed Taiho. though I still do not understand why they keep calling everything we do magnificent and terrifying. Different species have different ways of expressing appreciation, Park suggested. Maybe those are compliments in their languages. Does that make sense? Taiho nodded. It is nice that we can all work together so peacefully. Outside the cafe window, the massive construction platform continued its work, reshaping asteroids with casual efficiency. Alien observers watched from a safe distance, taking careful notes and trying not to attract attention. The humans had won the galaxy not through war, but through the simple act of being themselves. They had become the most feared and respected species in known space by refusing to be anything other than helpful, curious, and friendly. The galaxy had expected monsters and found engineers. It had prepared for war and encountered technical support. In trying to understand humanity through the lens of their own aggressive nature, aliens had created the very thing they feared most, a dominant species that was utterly impossible to fight, because how do you wage war against people who respond to every threat by offering to help fix it? The answer was simple. You do not. You just call them your benevolent overlords and hope they never stop being nice.